June meeting. We have a presentation this morning from Lenore Kennedy, so we'll just get through this first bit and then we'll go into that. There's any apologies, Max?
Leah Daly may be late.
Okay. Could I have somebody move the recommendation on the confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting, please? Tiffany, Councillor Galvin, I should say, moved. Seconded. Councillor Smith. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, no, carried. Okay, now it is my pleasure to welcome Lenore to our meeting. Lenore, I think you probably have to get close to the microphone and be the go.
Can you use mine?
Anywhere I'm probably
No
Yeah.
worries. Can you hear me? Because I probably have got a...
Well, the thing is,
we record the meeting.
it's recorded,
Okay.
Lenore, so you'll need to speak into
So
the
is that
mic.
okay?
Yeah, that'll be right, thanks.
Okay. Well, thank you for the opportunity to address the meeting today. Firstly, may I say that I am a great supporter of Gwydir Shire Council, and I do appreciate and respect the role that you all have. On this occasion, however, I feel the need to voice my concerns over the recent decision to relocate the Bingra Visitor Information Centre to the currently closed Roxy Cafe. The decision has indeed caused great angst amongst the community, and I'm sure you're all aware of that by now. I'm sure that each of you would be aware and would agree that the three greatest icons in Bingra are most definitely the orange trees, the Gwydir River and the Roxy. All precious, all greatly valued, quite well promoted by a passionate, proud community. I appreciate that your decision must have been fuelled by the need to have the Roxy Cafe doors open, but I believe there's a much more effective and less tumultuous way to do so. I know it's also common to combine coffee shops with visitor information centres. Again, that could have been a part of your decision. Warialda is definitely a successful example, but it is purpose-built. Inverell is another combination model, but it had the luxury of a rebuild from a bowling club, which caused my father great pain at the time, being such an avid bowler. It had a full auditorium to accommodate their Vic, so there was nothing to impose on any existing structure. At the weekend, we were at Murrurundi. Again, that's another modern space, but none have a gorgeous, restored, grant-attracting 1930s treasure that they would be imposing on. The Vic in Bingra has just been refurbished. Obviously, you're aware of that. It has a great street presence, and over the last 18 months, especially since the staff attended the Carol Bagaric workshops, of which were funded through council, it really has come forward with the window dressing, and there have been some wonderful shopfront displays which obviously sell our town. I think it's valuable that the street presence has the windows so close to the footpath there that you can't help but notice it. I also would imagine that there'd be a large increase in merchandise sales there. My concerns regarding your decision to relocate is that there was no community consultation. Had this been done, the feedback would have immediately highlighted the level of opposition against such a move. Unfortunately, the approach to the empty Roxy Cafe problem seems to have been a hasty Band-Aid style fix with no operational gain. The Vic doesn't have any issues. It looks fantastic. It works effectively. It has a solid volunteer base. I'm sure you'd be aware of that by now too. It's well known to returning visitors, and it looks natural in its current space. It really doesn't have a need to be relocated so that it sits amongst a toasted sandwich and a milkshake. The one concern for the Roxy complex, I would imagine, should be attracting a suitable cafe lessee. And I know it's been a heartache in the past, and I feel for you that it has been ongoing. Please listen to the community's objection to introducing anything else into this cafe area and address it as a standalone issue. As an interim measure, could I simply suggest to you that council management place an existing staff member whose work can be carried out with a desk, a mobile phone and a laptop, where it could be just relocated for a short time, into the Roxy Cafe building, with doors open, ready to greet any curious visitors with a welcome. Feel free to come in. We're not operating at the moment, but rest assured we'll be there soon. Are you interested in operating a cafe? Do you know someone? Would you like an information pack? Send them on their way, go back to doing your work. There'd be little disruption to the actual staff member with their work, and obviously it's not going to be a drain financially from there, and that you would, you know, get rid of that, the move that's going to be so unsettling as well for both areas. Of course, if there were any other inquiries to do with general tourism, the direction goes straight back to the Vic. It would only simply be to explain the cafe at the stage it's at. That keeps the doors open, the question answered, the Vic intact, and the cafe in all its glory. Please think about the funding that has already gone into this building, the contribution of the Greek community, the heritage listing and the associated future requirements, and the wow factor of this great space. May I respectfully ask you to reconsider the impact that this move would have, and please listen to the community and reverse your decision. I know it would be well received, and thank you for your time. Now, I wrote that down because I'm a talker and I've tried to condense it to 5 minutes and
Thanks, Lenore. I
Not get
presume
waylaid.
you'd be happy to take questions, or you got something to say, Dave? No.
I would. I'm probably
Does anybody like
qualified
to
to answer,
talk this
but I
with-
can try.
To Lenore about this?
One thing, John, or Lenore.
Yes.
I know Rachel was concerned that the, there was a problem earlier, that didn't miss it, but you might, I don't know whether you want to give her a bit of a copy of what you've written.
I can do that, yes.
Could be something that might go around the page.
Yep. Yep. I don't have a problem with that. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think that we've always made it very clear that the decision was reversible. We're trying to keep the cafe open, but there's a few other things in the wings now, and
I believe so, yes.
yes.
Obviously.
Oh, well, you know all about it.
Yep.
So, you know, maybe your concerns will be alleviated.
I'm only speaking of my own opinion, but I'm hearing so much in the street. I mean, I've not looked for anything. As I said, I don't go looking for council business because you get it.
Yeah.
Yes, but the things I'm hearing, there's so many people that are so dreadfully upset by it, and it just doesn't, there's no need.
No, we've had correspondence to that effect as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
Hopefully I've covered all that, and thank you so much for listening to me.
thanks for bothering, Lenore. Thank you.
Sort of like the release of kangaroos.
Who's that? Who wrote that? Oh, okay. All right. All right, now, call for declaration of interest, gifts received and conflicts of interest. Nil at this stage, Max.
There's additional items.
Oh, yes, have you got them listed?
Yes,
Get your
the
microphone.
report. The report regarding a request to consider the use of the Bingra sale yards, additional information from Ionius as a result of the questions asked at the budget workshop, and the integrated planning and reporting report.
Would somebody like to move we accept those? Thank you.
I'll second that.
Councillor Egan, Councillor Colton, those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Right, we go to item 1, which is the local strategic planning
Statement,
statement. Yeah.
which has been, you know, back and forth, been on exhibition. All the submissions received are attached. The document has been signed off by the appropriate
Yeah.
state government department.
I found it interesting that all the agencies responded.
And that's positive.
Yeah.
Except one.
We had a couple of residents respond. Actually, I think we should take something from both those letters. The one from Mr. Stubbins was very negative on all aspects, pretty much.
Yeah.
He did make the point, and he has done all along, and I mean, we're also heading that way, but we need to try and increase the population of the Shire. None of us disagree with that, but I agreed with that point he made. The other point he made about the Golden Triangle I agreed with. As far as I'm concerned, the Gwydir Triangle lies within Gwydir Shire. We don't include Gunnedah and Moree and Gundawindi. I'd like to see that rectified, actually. And then with Rick Hutton had a letter in which you would have read, I dare say, and there was most of his points I agreed with too. But he was also on about population, and although we are focused that way, we haven't succeeded in coming up with a venture to increase it yet. But I think it was good that they both gave it a fair bit of thought and a fair bit of time, and they were the only two outside the government agencies that responded. Now, is there anything that you would like to discuss in this statement? It's it.
I think that over the
Just so you know, Councillor,
Okay.
also Councillor Egan now.
over the years, Ted has been driven by the population, so we understand his drive.
Yeah,
But there's nothing that he suggests that we haven't already put a lot of time and effort into, and will continue to do so.
and the other thing is the things that we're endeavouring to initiate that would have increased the population, he's not.
Yeah,
It was a very negative letter.
I have to say I went down the river the other day, just looking at the bands and everything out of interest. And there were probably 40 on the day I went down there, and one of those people is already buying a home in Bingara. So it happens that if they want to come, they'll come, and we've just got to be there offering what it is they want.
Well, that was the other point that Rick Hutton made, is that we're behind the times with our promotion for tourism.
Yeah.
I'd like to know what we're doing wrong.
And I was talking to Anne Reardon yesterday, and don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure she said she sold 5 houses in Warialda.
Right.
I think that's what she said.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's, I mean, so things are moving in both areas.
Yeah, you would expect this COVID pandemic would only be good for us, really.
Yeah,
With that sort of
yeah.
thing. Councillor Dick.
Mr Mayor, I only have the late items. Is there another folder that I should?
There is, certainly is. It's this big.
Yes, it's quite a
don't
nice
have
one.
What's in it?
There you go. We'll get you one. They would have been available to pick up at the office, Councillor Dick. So on item 1, and we're shortly going to item 2, which is on page 104.
Can I
Yeah, sure.
just point out a part of this process? We've been looking at some of the anomalies, like there's a hangover from the previous Yallaroy LEP where the land adjacent to the motel up at Warialda is actually zoned RE1, which is an environmental zone. The motel owner wants to expand his business, but he's not allowed to do it into that zone, even though he owns the land. Now, I don't know how that happened, but I've given him a commitment that we definitely don't want to buy the land, which is why that land was zoned. At some stage, Yallaroy Council felt they were going to buy that land, and we'll do everything we can to try to rezone it so that he can do what he wants to do. But also, it started as thinking there must be other anomalies. So we're actually working our way through, and you'll be getting a report of all those anomalies in one go. And hopefully, one of the outcomes of COVID-19 is that they've committed themselves to speeding up the rezoning process, because they realise taking 4 years to do something relatively minor is just unrealistic. And that's how long it takes at the moment.
Max, you're going back to that, when we had that Minister for Small Business or whatever he was
You know,
Yes.
up here, I brought that up and virtually just got fobbed off.
Really?
Well, you would have been there, I suppose, but, you know, I said, well, through the coronavirus, there's things that we wanted to get done, it was a difference.
Yeah,
But brought up a similar thing and, you know, he said what all politicians say, bugger
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, no, I think they're actually moving.
you can say that.
Yeah, that's what you're up against, right?
Yeah.
I reckon as a council, we should be sort of putting it to the pollies a bit more to try and get things, they talk about fast forwarding things and red tape and everything, but still nothing bloody happens.
And it's the same with that fire break, it's
So
still
fire
going.
break.
That fire breaks.
Nothing done there, I just,
No,
no.
no, it's, I was really disappointed with that. They said they'd already been and inspected it. They didn't include us at all. No.
I'm still of the opinion we do it ourselves.
Yeah,
Take the initiative, do it,
I'd be a bit the
and be
same.
hanged for everything else.
Yeah, I'm the same.
I
And
put it
we'll
on
visit you
record, I
in
don't
jail,
care.
Alex.
It'll only be you, Alex, we'll be right.
You read my mind.
What grade file do you want? What grade file do you want?
Oh, look, I'm not fussy. Whatever's
Course.
gonna get me out.
Yeah, right.
The,
6 years cheap, Alex, compared to 6 lives.
the other thing in that report, and a fair bit of what Rick said, was to do with agriculture. And how he mentioned how this end of the show had gone all cattle and it was sort of mono and he didn't like it. And look, my opinion is that's not our domain.
No, that's not it.
Agriculture is not the council's domain. We pay taxes for research and, anyway, I probably would differ with his opinion there. And I noticed through our report we've mentioned agriculture to a degree, and I don't know that we're qualified to do that.
In our report.
It's in through here. It's
And I
not.
don't think we have a right in any case to tell a farmer how he'll use his land.
No way in the world.
government does that.
While it's only subtle and gentle in our report, it is there. And anyway,
It's on page 73.
What is it, 73?
This that grow our agriculture.
is there any other comment on this report? Because we need to, what's the recommendation?
Well, just to move it
This
second.
report of ours feeds into the 2036 for New South Wales.
It
doesn't
does,
Yeah,
yes.
so we have to have comparable sort of lines so that they can tick our boxes, I think. And our agricultural section is probably the largest industry we have in our
Oh,
shire.
yeah, no, yeah.
But all we should be doing, I agree with you, John, that's up to them.
Yeah,
You know, but we should be supporting them if they want to,
Mm.
you know, do tourism or things like that. That should be our remit, I
Yeah.
think, so that we support them to
Yeah.
to grow their businesses.
it's obviously got to have a mention because it's our industry.
Yeah, it is.
But it's a bit like Councillor Egan said, these people are entrepreneurs in their own right and they sink or swim on their own decisions and so it's don't need any input from us.
But we shouldn't impede that, should we?
No, no.
So I need a mover and second.
That we adopt that.
Yeah.
I'll move.
What's the actual wording, Max?
That the draft wider local strategic planning statement 2036 be adopted. Further, that the adopted wider local strategic planning statement 2036 be uploaded to the Department of Planning, Industry and Environment portal by the 30th of June 2020.
Okay, thank you. There was I think there was a complaint from Mr Stubbins, wasn't there, that the letter wasn't in early or something, missed the meeting. Is that right?
That's not.
I don't know.
It was in ages ago, wasn't it? That's the first time I've read it.
Oh, his letter.
Yes, his letter, yeah. Anyway, that's by and by. We've all read it now, we've had a chance to comment on it. Okay, you move that, Councillor Egan, and seconder is Councillor Young. Put that motion, those in favour say aye. Aye. Carried. Page 104 now, item 2. A request for a donation from the Boreal, what RC means, Model Aircraft Club. This was actually put to me some time ago and I think I forgot about it. That they've finally written.
It's come up before, I've read about it before.
Have you? I might have mentioned it in a meeting, I can't remember now.
It's been in before.
Okay, well, I think it's fair enough request, and they do keep it nice and tidy out there. And they only want a lawnmower that we're finished with, so.
That's, yeah, it's only one that we're finished with.
Yeah, and we've been doing this, brother.
And they got the previous one from Yalleroy, so that's over, what, 20
while
years ago?
Yeah. So anyway, I'll just ask for a mover, well, I'll ask for a mover first of the recommendation.
I'll move it.
Thank you, councillor
I'll
Dixon.
second that.
Seconded, councillor Carlton. Now, is there any discussion? No?
Have we got any males that are sort of getting a bit of age about them?
Well, the report says not at the moment, but
We haven't at the moment, but we will, you know. The mower they've got at the moment still works, but it's nearly falling apart, yeah.
just when something comes up, because they wanted a zero turn and all that, so, yeah. Right, I've got to move into a second there. I'll put the motion. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
No, carried, thank you. Item 3 is the council activity report. Just there shows you, or it shows the public, I suppose, that we all are a bit busy. Could I have a mover report be received? Thank you, councillor Young, seconded. Councillor Moore, those in favour say aye.
Aye.
No, carried. Item 4, monthly executive report for May. Helen Thomas.
Well, it's me, actually.
Oh, hang on. Sorry, I'm on the wrong one. Yeah, it is you.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions people might have. You would have noticed the swimming pool's progressing.
Very good.
When do you think the car automated, the training for driving cars is going to recommence?
Well, we're doing it now.
The ACE, is it? ACE are not doing it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The big user was for those Aboriginal kids, and that's been put on hold. But the Department of Transport, we've got an exemption. We can continue, providing we leave the windows open.
Yeah. I saw that the local people were trained, but ACE wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Mr.
that's available.
Councillor Moore.
Mr. Mayor, Max, the Cranky Rock request for quotation for repairs on the footbridge.
Yep.
Don't we normally list the other tenders, or the people that are, the other quotes for that? Don't we normally list the
I think
quotes for that?
there was only one, wasn't there?
And some of the costs?
I think there was only.
the
I think
costing-
there was only
Oh.
one complying quote there.
Yeah. Oh, I just thought we normally, see the quotes from the other people, that was all. The listings.
I'm a little bit concerned with, we've got someone in the organisation that's in that department.
Conflict of interest.
Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah. I don't know.
Only perception, I don't believe there is any. but
No,
I'm worried about
Yeah.
the perception of conflict of interest.
Yeah. But it could be seen by the public.
There's a couple of cases of it.
At least you can't
Pardon?
discard them because
Sorry,
they are.
there were 3 quotes received, but
Yeah, it says there was 3 quotes.
Yeah, I realise
But
that, but we
the,
normally see what the quotes were, that's all I'm saying.
they were, well, I can provide them to you if you want to see them, but 2 of them didn't address the issue of the supporting structure. They only wanted to, put stuff on the top of the bridge and not actually fix up the problem. But I'll get you the copies if you want.
Without mentioning names,
Say
Max,
Well, no, I just, I don't want a copy of it, Max, all I'm saying is,
Yeah.
the list of the names and what their
Were they all given the
quotes were,
same,
all within
Yeah, they
reason.
all would have been given. We
same
do,
directive?
I can't remember what they call it. What's the paperwork that we give out? Yeah, but it's all detailed and laid out. Everyone gets exactly the same
Same.
information.
Oh, that's all
I think Councillor Moore makes a point here, Max, because we as elected members, and I've already been hit with this, about the perceived conflict of interest within our organisation. And then when we don't get the details on the other quotes, we can't verify the
Verify
reason.
that actually happened, yeah.
And I've had comment about that, not with this job, but with the previous job.
No, well, Meter Constructions have also won the
Yes.
Gravesend one. I think that was the one where they were the only
Yes,
tenderer,
I think you're right.
only quota.
It would be detailed when the selection's done that, Lisa is not included in the,
Well, she has no role to
Yeah.
play at all.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't have any role to play in choosing the Cranky Rock one. It's not even in her area.
It was when she was running the government projects though that I had complained about it.
Well, I'm not sure that he got any, he probably did get some, I don't know. Did he?
No, it wasn't that so much as that there was other people doing it, and she was the one that was the quality control, and they believed that they were being unfairly treated. I didn't take it any further because I didn't think there was much in it, but I am concerned about this, the look.
Well, I'm absolutely sure that there's been no undue interference by
No.
Lisa Meader in the process, and I can say that we are tightening up the processes we follow, and a lot of the local builders don't like that. And I've got to say also that Ben Meader, who's the the main builder in the Meader Constructions, takes a very professional approach to everything he does, and often it's far more professional than some of the other builders that we deal with locally. But I think that's because he was used to working in the Brisbane environment.
Yeah, I think so too.
So
I have to support that comment, Max. I dealt with him the other day in Warialda when we looked at a home, and he was very professional.
Yeah. I don't have any problem with Ben Meader.
No.
But I have a problem with the perception of what's happening.
Yes, true.
yeah,
I think we just need to watch it, that's all.
no, we're well aware of that internally as well. And if you want, we can certainly list down the people who miss out on contracts, which is like advertising that they're too expensive or their quality isn't good enough, but I will do that.
Well, it'd be handy for us, and I don't think it'd hurt them really if it's in our minutes, or
Okay.
our meeting notes, because who's going to read them anyway? Not many people read them.
No, that's not true. I got a letter the other day from the Corinda House pointing out something that was said incorrectly on page 24 of the November 2018 minutes.
But you know where that comes from.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But someone reads them.
Yeah, there's a couple of people. Yeah, all right. Thank you. We better keep going. Anything else in that report?
The amphitheatre looks like it's coming along well, doesn't it?
Out at Mile Creek. Yeah, they actually haven't started fitting in the sandstone blocks yet. I'm not sure why. I think there's the soil hasn't dried out sufficiently yet to be able to do that out there. But
Are they coming from Queensland, the blocks?
they're already on site. They come from Warwick.
From Warwick, do they? Yeah, all right, any other questions? If not, I'd like a mover of the recommendation, if we have it. Councillor Galvin, seconded, please. Councillor Smith, those in favour say aye. Against, now carried. Item 5 is on the next page. That's the organisation community development report.
I'll have to answer.
You'll have
that
to do
question.
it, yes, you're not here. Yeah, all right. Can I start then with a question?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
I don't know if I've got an answer. But
I've got a job to read this, but we haven't got very good figures at Nauru, have we? Or have I got it wrong?
Yeah,
That's what I want to know too. Have
it
we
says
read it
you
wrong?
like pressure points and things like that. It looks terrible.
Yeah,
Well and truly above
Yeah.
the state, if we're reading it
If I'm
correctly.
reading it the right way, as against the national average.
yeah.
Do you see that? The first couple of lines will
Yeah,
do
it's
it.
very small, isn't it?
It's this small.
My question to that, John, would be what are they doing to
address
eliminate those?
Well, there's been, we probably need to address that in confidential session, but there has been
Yeah,
a whole lot of action there.
because that's quite,
Yeah, I
those
think
numbers
this
are quite
report needs
high
to go to
against the national average.
They are.
If you just remember to ask that in confidential session, but do you read that the same as I do, Max?
Yeah. They every time I query, they tell me, well, we have to report every conceivable thing that happens now. But you're right, it's not very good against the national average.
No.
Unless other people don't have the same level of recording.
Well, maybe. Yeah, no, we will. We'll address this in confidential. But it is here and I need to question it. Yeah. Righto, you want to go through it?
No, I'm happy to answer any
Okay.
questions if people
Do you know if we've got the final bed filled yet?
at Nauru.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
35.
June.
Oh, we're nearly the end of June.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's full.
It probably is.
Last time I spoke to Sharon a couple of days ago, she said she had 100%.
Oh,
Unless someone's died.
Oh, right, Max, we won't count that.
Our own numbers look better in the WHS performance.
Yeah,
What are you looking at?
I just said our own figures in the WHS performance
health and
Better.
safety, health and safety.
in May, well under what they were in February, for instance,
And
if I'm reading that right.
can I ask you, councillor Egan, what's the procedure for the orange picking?
The orange picking will go ahead in its full glory, except that we won't have, the sub-branch are going to play the post, the children will gather,
Yeah.
and it's pretty much as normal.
Is there going to be a little service or?
Yeah, David's
Yeah,
going to
they'll do the
Yeah,
sub-branch service
yeah.
and everything, so it's pretty much as normal.
Mm.
And it's been posted on ABC and the television and everything,
They've all been
so,
interviewed.
Yeah,
Have they?
good
Yeah.
coverage.
I
last
just
Oh,
think we
man.
weren't
Right,
asking
right.
for as much public
No.
commitment.
No.
Everything else will go ahead. Is
And I
that,
think the trees have been marked, so.
Okay.
kids
and
go
each
back
class will
through.
go to a
Right.
particular
And
area.
that's Friday week, Friday of next
Friday
week?
the 3rd
Third.
at 11 o'clock.
Thank you. Anybody have anything else out of this report?
The girls at the CHSP do an amazing job helping our aged residents.
Yes, I do.
Could I just ask Max, the Guida website, are business houses able to approach council to be included in that website?
Yeah,
Or are business houses meant to post their own websites?
No, I think that Georgia would be better to answer this question, but as we roll out the new website, it's my understanding she's been talking to all the business sites and we'll be trying to encourage them to participate.
Oh, it's
But
just
we
that I've been
already-
putting,
We already do, we pay a fee for the last website every year.
okay, no, I'm just nagging at Ian to get the club up there and
Well,
tell the visitors to town what is happening.
Yeah.
The same would happen for the Borealda Club. Goals is at this time and something else, and put it out there in their face and that
The
we.
thing about having that is you've got to have somebody within the organisation that's going to update it, otherwise the information is out of date next
Yeah.
week.
There's nothing worse than that either.
We're advertising at the moment actually for, I don't think it was internal, I think it was external as well, wasn't it, for the social media person? Yeah.
They're interviewing this morning, I think.
Oh, right, okay.
The,
Because 2020 often wanted, you know, and I think we should have a Main Street coordinator,
Yeah, yeah.
but that person would be able to update the business houses continuously. 'Cause that was brought up at our meeting the other night, and it's hard unless you've got somebody updating that information to feed into, because it's out of date, and
well, we've been paying, I think it's 60, don't quote me, but I think it's $60 a year to Georgina Sinclair, who was doing the previous webpage.
so would that position then be enabled to see?
The social media person, that's exactly what that position would do.
That would be fantastic, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
If they're
That is
able to
excellent,
contact the business houses and upload some of their information a
Yeah,
bit.
both at Bingra and Morialda.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, well, that
That
would
would
be,
be
And
great.
the other villages as well, though.
yep, that would be excellent.
That's just what's needed.
Mm.
And I think whoever's doing it at the moment needs congratulating too, because there is a lot going on there on the social media, Wider Shire, in the Bingra, New South Wales one. There is
A lot of,
a lot, it is going well, I think. There's a lot going on there.
Yes, I see
but the
that.
dinosaurs at the club don't quite understand that, and I just sort of was doing a little bit of nagging.
Dinosaur,
That's
thank you
not
very
very
much.
nice to
I'm talking
We're not
about the one I
dinosaurs.
live with.
No, but that's pretty normal, Kathleen, because I don't even understand about the hashtags and how the hashtags get out this one and that one. Like,
So do I. All right, have there any other questions on this report? Looking for the recommendation.
I'll move the report.
Councillor
I'll
Carlton,
support
thank
that.
you, and Councillor Egan seconded. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
So carried. Now then, Alex, your turn, the monthly technical services
Celebrating.
report.
My time to shine.
It is indeed.
Pretty standard month for us. One point of difference was that we had 5 different crews doing capital works, finishing up our Roads to Recovery program for the year. As you would probably remember, we were given an extra approximately $650,000 for this year. And it was a pretty big push to get everything ticked off that list. And those works were only completed as of about 2 weeks ago. Very proud of the effort that the blokes put in to do that. It was quite a good feeling to have staff coming to supervisors and myself saying, can we work overtime to get these done?
Yeah.
Rather than us having to chase them. Good news with all of that is that the 4 projects that we had to tie up prior to end of financial year all came in under budget, which was quite good. We've got the works on Fossickers Way continuing. They'll probably push over just a little bit into the new financial year, but we're carting the last pavement course for that as we speak.
Yeah.
The testing to date with RMS has been all ticks. There's been no failures in the level conformance or compactions. It's been very good. You'll note the RFS proposed burning for next year just highlights what Councillor Egan, I think, was saying earlier, that we didn't really get what we wanted out of our efforts to increase this exercise. There are only 2 lots, or 3, on the entire southern side of Warrialla that are being burnt. Everything's on.
What time of the year do you think that'll occur?
I think they're saying that it's going to commence in June. 15th was the planned. It hasn't commenced. So I'd assume that RFS are just waiting for appropriate weather to get started.
I hope it happens in the cold weather. Last time it was a disaster, I thought.
The 15th of June long past.
All depends who's running it.
So happy to take questions on anything else.
Alex, the Polycom on the county boundary road there,
Yes.
how's it taken as a...
Very, very well. We sent a loaded water cart up county boundary after the last downpour that was out there, which I think was about 30 mils. As you know, a real test for that sort of material is putting a heavy truck up the guts of it when it's wet. I wasn't in the car, but we have video footage following the water cart, and they said it was basically slush until they hit the Polycom, and they almost rode up onto it as if it was a ramp. There's no wheel tracks in that section. There's wheel tracks either side of it. It's an expensive product, but it's still cheaper than importing gravel. If it lasts only half as long as a gravel resheet, it is a more economical method of rehabbing.
Yeah, good.
Very good.
Alex, this is in your report, but I know you don't do it. But it's way out of date. You know, camping will recommence on the river in June.
Yeah.
And we're the 25th of June.
That was probably done at the beginning of June or late May, as we missed the
That would
committee.
have been done for the committee meeting that wasn't done. Was it?
Yep.
So they just rolled it over.
And there are lots of campers, heaps of them.
Good.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I'm interested to go and see the Mile Creek step down.
The
bit.
amphitheatre.
Yeah, the
It'll be great.
amphitheatre. I think that'll be.
It's quite an intricate bit of work.
I'm interested to go and see it when we can. Yeah, yeah. And also, I just want to comment on the pontoon.
Yeah, you're right.
We've had kids down there nearly.
Still,
Looks
They're loving it.
fantastic.
They're loving it. We went down and had a
I want
walk
to
around.
just go and sit there and have fish and chips.
Well, we went
Great.
down. David and I went down, and it's lovely. Yeah.
Alex, could I just make a comment that I think that it needs a depth indicator? Simply because there are kids down there, and I'm scared that one of them's going to
On the pontoon.
and it's probably a bit shallow for diving. So I think we need a depth indicator and a warning that it is too shallow to dive into.
We
should be the
should,
pontoon.
Yes.
Okay, we'll put up.
yeah.
Probably
Just
sign
some-
would be the main thing.
Sign.
Just a no
Signage
diving
would
is
be
probably
important,
appropriate.
but
No
even
diving.
You
so.
can't really put the depth into cover because the
It floats.
Rise,
Yeah.
but I looked
We can
into
put a
it
sign
thinking,
up
oh, the
saying
kids will
no
be
diving.
diving off here and it'll be
Yeah.
great, but it's not, it's too
we're
short.
more concerned that they might ride their bikes off there.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
really?
Max, it'll
That'd be a
happen.
good trick, wouldn't it?
Kids,
Someone will do it.
the kids.
I'll get the oldest.
But
one.
it's
Fun out of
the
life.
kids are fishing off it and everything, but I just don't want them diving. I thought it looked a bit
There was an older couple down there the
shallow.
other day when we
Yeah.
were there and just thinking it was really beautiful.
They jump off the rings under the bridge and they have done for 50 years.
That's
But that particular area, if you look into it, you're looking at the bottom of it, or I
Yeah, but it's the same under, when they're jumping off the rings
Yeah.
under the bridge.
Yeah. If we put up
Yeah.
signage, I think the signage is
if we put
great.
I think a sign
signage,
would
I think
cover
we
our
have
tail,
to
I
cover
think, yeah.
ourselves,
Yeah.
that's what I'm
That's
asking
right.
for,
But it
some
looks
coverage.
great.
It's a great, they're loving it.
They did a good job. It didn't take them
I think
long
they'll
to
jump
do
in
it,
for a few
goodness
months yet.
sake. No.
No, but they'll jump in, and
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
happy for them
I
to jump
agree.
in, but I
Is
just
there
want to
any
make
other
sure we
planting
cover
to
it.
go around to beautify it or something?
Thanks.
What we have to do there, you'll notice there was a lot of damage done by the RMS when they were doing work on the bridge, which they promised they'd come back and fix, and they haven't fixed it. And I think that we probably do need to more formalise some parking, maybe with that, you know, that stuff that you grow grass in between, but it's
Yeah.
a solid,
Yeah, yeah.
the plastic.
Yep.
Maybe we
Yep.
could use that. There's also going to be a path, which is part of the
From the
grant,
pool thing.
which will go from the other side of the pool, the new administration building that's
Yeah.
going to be built. It'll be 1.8 metres wide, so it'll be, and the gradient will be 1 in 14, so you'll be able to, you know, conveniently use a wheelchair down there, but it'll go
That's good, I'll
weave
make
right down to where the pontoon is. And we'll probably be starting that work in a couple of weeks.
Are they putting more tables and chairs? Yeah, that's what,
There is a budget for table and chairs, as part of the CBD improvement, and we haven't decided where to put those yet, so.
Yep.
That'll be more work by, you know, the local councillors that are interested in the particular towns to.
one of the
Sorry.
suggestions from that CBD, maybe post-CBD meeting, was that perhaps some people might like to donate tables and chairs, or if they were of, you know, the same standard that we require,
Like Don might look
businesses
at.
or
Well,
something
you
of
would have
that
noticed,
nature.
yeah, in my report, there was a donated chair up at the lookout, and
Yeah,
one of the proposals suggested for the COVID money, the 1.102, is work at up there, and we've got an estimate of about 163,000, which would really enhance
there.
that area up at the lookout, and that would also provide better barrier protection for the road as well, all the way down to.
'cause that's really shot to pieces,
Yeah,
that barrier.
But
There's nothing-
you'll at the July meeting, you'll have to decide how you're going to spend that
Yep.
money. It's up to you.
But I
Any
do want
other-
to go to Mile Creek, Tiff.
Any other questions or comments on this report?
Just that I think all the staff must be very busy again, and well done to all the outdoor staff, because there's so much outdoor stuff going on. They never know whether they're coming or going, probably.
I think that probably needs recording, actually.
They are very busy.
Congratulations to your
Everything looks
team.
good,
It does.
It
It
does
does
look
look
good.
good.
really good.
And they're always cheerful.
Okay, I need the officer recommendation, a mover for that, and could we include
Yeah.
that, please?
Yep.
Concentrated, yeah. Who's moved it?
I don't know. Councillor Egan, seconded. Councillor Young, those in favour say aye. It's okay, now we go to page 187.
169, don't we?
Oh, did I miss one?
Yeah, correspondence
Yeah.
from the Murray
Number
Valley
7,
Organisation.
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
It's
well,
just
you
for
can see why I
That's the
missed that.
report.
It's only a
Yep.
Can I just ask a quick question? Do you think we've got the air conditioner on instead of the heating on?
That's right.
It's just getting
It is
colder and
cold.
colder.
I have to go and get me bloody jacket.
Dix, it's on the cool cycle, not the warm
Well, I
cycle.
didn't
though.
this week because it's been so hot in here.
Yeah, I've got layers on, but
Usually we're hot and
They are, yeah.
absolutely.
My feet are cold.
Yeah.
What do you want to do here? Just receive the report from the
I
Well,
have to look up
it's-
on
yeah.
Google what the
Yes, we do.
signals
Well,
are.
yeah.
Why do you have to
The
keep
report be
moving?
received.
Oh, Dave's
Oh,
good.
thank you, councillor Colton. Seconded.
I'll second it.
Councillor Young,
that
that's
one.
the Murray Darling report
Yep.
we received was the comment. Those in favour say aye.
We missed the
It's
AGM, John,
okay,
you knew
yes.
that.
Yeah, well, it clashed with our meeting.
Met on our meeting day.
Okay, item 8 is correspondence from the Royal Chamber,
Yeah.
re the Corinda House toilets.
What is that about?
The bit I took from the letter, I probably got it wrong, but it said that they were prepared to clean the toilets.
Yeah, they might.
I think if they're prepared to clean the toilets, there's no reason why they couldn't be open.
Well, it does say that.
We closed them because of our budget.
Yeah.
Well,
We
you-
closed them because there are 7 public toilets in Warrell.
No, I understand that, but if they want them open and they're prepared to clean them, is there any other, risk factors for us, or? Not a lot of risk with the toilet, but
I sort of read that, I understand a neighbouring business would undertake to open and lock the toilets and that Corinda House members would continue to assist with keeping the toilets clean.
that's what I read too.
Can we?
Well, can we give it to them for a trial?
So
See
in
how
other
that
words,
goes.
the only way the way I'd look at that, Mr Mayor, is if they want to look after them as their own private toilet block,
You think it-
without any cost to council, then
You think it'd make sense to refer it back to the chamber to conduct the,
So do you think that if there's something wrong with those toilets, it comes back to council though? Even if we put them on a trial or,
no, but if
Is
we put the responsibility back to the chamber, say that we give the okay for them to open and close the toilets and clean them. It's not a council function, because we've already said we're not going to do it.
how would we go under,
Insurance.
you, Max, how would
Insurance.
we go under insurance? Is there
Legal side of it, yeah.
Well, it's covered under our insurance. at the moment.
volunteers?
Yeah. And volunteer insurance, yeah. As long as they do all the paperwork, sign on when they
Did you have
turn
a hand
up.
up? Councillor Dick, yeah.
Mr Mayor, through to Max. Max, I understand at 10:30 in the morning when this incident happened, about these tourists, the toilets at the council chambers were closed. Was that correct?
Yes, and every toilet had a sign on it where you could find a toilet.
which wasn't particularly wonderful, Max?
Was there any reason why the council toilets were closed?
Yes, because the effort involved with the COVID-19 in sanitising the toilets is enormous, and we just weren't prepared to pay the money, especially when there are 7 toilets.
And Max, now that the cafe on the corner there is closed, are those
The toilets are still open,
toilets are open?
and they're the only toilets actually in the whole of Warrialda that are suitable for the use by a disabled person.
I agree with Councillor Colton that if a local business is open and closed and the ladies at Corinda are prepared to clean it, I don't see any problem with it.
No, I don't think that's what they really wanted, but that's what they've said. And I really think it's something we can put
Well,
back to the...
Corinda House use the toilets now. They have a key.
Yes, they have a
keep it
key,
clean.
and they maintain them for their use. Yep,
And for people that are visiting the house.
house. Yep.
Do they realise the implications of the workload they'd be taking on with coronavirus? It will be a much bigger effort because each time someone uses it, you have to go and sanitise it.
Go away.
The letter's been written and signed in the capacity of President Warrialda Chamber.
Not Corinda House.
I'd put it back in.
I would put it back to the chamber to say, yes, we're happy for you to do that.
I mean, I'm a committee of council for Corinda, and
Right.
they have stressed to me that they're quite prepared to keep it clean as they do now, and they would really appreciate it to be open.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit different matter when it becomes a public toilet. I mean, at the moment, they're the only ones using them. But anyway,
Can I suggest that we just let them know that we're happy to transfer the management of the toilet to the Chamber of Commerce?
yeah, that's what I would
That's the
suggest,
way to
yeah,
go.
yeah.
In saying that, John, the toilets won't be opened all the time because Corinda House is not open.
No.
But it says here that I presume it's IGA
Still going to do it.
will open it. Somebody-
IGA are going to do it apparently.
I think it's the cafe or the bakery they were
Oh, is
talking
it?
about. Not IGA have got their own toilets.
I'd be a bit worried about the bakery.
When we closed the Corinda House toilets, IGA were happy for people to go to those toilets.
They were.
And that's still the case, I think, unless they've
I've
closed
got
them
no idea what they
because
are.
of COVID.
Oh, I wouldn't go there.
I think should you add in your letter, Max, providing it's done in the right
Yeah.
way, like
Yep.
under the right condition or
Yep.
right.
Yep.
Yeah, I think handed,
Adhering to COVID.
yeah, And, yeah, I think put the emphasis back on the chamber. They're the ones that ask for it. Well, we're happy for them to do it.
And should we ask them if they'd be interested in taking over the other toilets as well?
Yeah, if you like. All right, so I don't think I've got a mover for that, have I? You have a mover for that motion?
I'll move that.
Councillor Young, Councillor Smith.
Get it over and done with.
You're quite clear on that we're offering the chamber to take over the function,
Great idea.
the role of opening and cleaning the toilets. I'll put the motion. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, no, carried. Item 9, monthly investment and rate collection report. Thanks, Helen.
So it's just the standard report. I can take any questions. You will notice the money sitting in the Regional Australia Bank account has gone up. So that's the account where we hold the funds for all our Guarda Guarantee houses. So we've had a few people purchase houses through the Guarda Guarantee over the 12 months. So that's why that has increased.
That's a good program, isn't it?
Yeah. When it went in the paper a few years ago, we had a pretty big influx of both just finding out about it and then taking it up. So that will continue to increase if we want to keep doing that.
Yep.
It's all set up a bit different now though. Once upon a time when the loans were done, they were for the entirety of the loan. We've now got them set up so that council's guarantor part is a separate loan, so it gets paid out within the 7 years. So we have a much quicker turnaround for the funds to become available again.
Never heard it before, have you?
Very good, isn't it?
Yeah.
We should really tell that story a bit more often, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Needs to go out
Probably
there
Eve,
again.
you've almost paid.
To you,
it.
Helen, please, the money rolling over on the 29th.
Yep.
We will do better than 0.94, won't we?
We will try.
That.
I doubt that you will do
Yeah.
much better.
The hardest
One
About
and a
all you get
half.
now.
I don't
One
know
and a
where
half.
you get it from.
What'd you say? You got 1.5?
This week you
Maybe
get
I
the
know someone that knows
1.15.
someone that
Yeah,
knows
because
someone.
we got 0.89.
Did you?
Yeah, you wouldn't, 1.5 wouldn't be on the market.
Must have took a,
I don't think.
the fella
Short
with her
term.
she's talking about.
It's short term.
Yeah.
We got offered
Short.
0.89 yesterday.
You're short term.
That was short term.
Oh, okay.
Councillor Dick.
Councillor Mayor, through to Helen, could you enlighten me what bonds and deposits are?
So that's all the Nauru bonds and anything else that we hold for Portaloos or any of that. The community comfort, we've got a few community organisations we hold funds for. So that's what that big figure is. But it's mostly made up of the Nauru bonds, which is about 1.7. I just pulled up last year's report. So that's money sitting in Regional Australia Bank for the Guarda Guarantee was $263,000 last year. So we've put another $140,000 into that for a fair few houses. So that's how many houses have been sold in the Shire.
And Helen, the leave entitlement for staff, I see that, we've gradually increased that. Is there a particular reason for that? Is there a government regulation that we have to have a percentage of our income in this?
No. So it's one of the very few that there's no specific amount we have to have. That's nowhere near what our employee leave entitlement is, the liability that we hold. It's not even close, but that's what we've deemed as being to get us through in the 12 months to if we had a large number of staff want to take leave or leave the organisation, that we would have to pay out their leave owing.
So what is the council policy? How do we arrive at 900,000? Is that just
We've kept, it's always been about 850, depending on how much cash we have available. We base it on, but every year it's going up. Because we have so many staff that have been with council for so long, the leave liability is continually increasing. So it's a judgment call more than anything, because there's no rules around it.
That's fine, thank
You could have zero if you wanted to and have your cash look really great, but when we have 3 or 4 staff that have been around for a long time leave, then that's a huge chunk of cash that's got to come out.
We'll have zero every 4 years.
Thank you.
Possibly next year.
Thank you, mate.
Councillor Dick, there is a percentage that we have tried to work it on over the years. Yeah. Just like Helen said, it's
That, when I first
safety net.
started, that was 400,000.
Yeah, that was when we
That was
were,
400, it was one of the things I made my first comment on, because that was just totally not
Not enough,
appropriate.
no.
Not enough.
But the last, a couple of months ago, it was 1.2 in these numbers,
Yeah,
so
well-
it changes, it's one of the numbers that change.
Yep.
And it is, we need to show, I think we need to show that we have a liability to our employees, otherwise.
oh, we have to, when we
Yeah.
have such long-serving staff
Yeah.
that have large amounts of liability owing to them when they leave, yes.
Regardless of what's in the fund, that will always be met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has a big impact on our cash reserve figure as to what we put it at.
And Helen, forgive me, I should know, but when we pay our superannuation, is that involved in this entitlement, or is that a separate?
No, that's separate.
Separate altogether.
And where
So
does that come out of our working capital,
Yeah, so it comes out every fortnight, the super gets paid.
from the working capital?
Yeah, from our operating account, yep. Yep. The only other thing to note, which still surprises me, our rates collection is higher than it has been in the last 3 years.
I was going to
Nobody
make a
wants to
comment
get
on that,
behind.
that's
Helen,
absolutely
at the end of the
phenomenal.
year though, at the end of the month, that's not going to be total rates.
No.
It's a scheme, isn't it? And over what period will it be paid?
So what I want, when we get to the end of the year, once I get all of the June figures in, I'll give you the figures of what's been forward paid and what's actually outstanding
Okay,
for this year.
yeah.
So you can get an idea. It's not a completely true figure as to what is still owing for rates for this year, because we do have people, especially on payment arrangements, that are in front.
If they make an arrangement and they're behind, they're still on that graph though, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that does counteract people that are in front. We have a
Right.
lot of people that are
Okay.
behind. So it does balance to a degree, but it will be interesting to see how much is forward paid.
Yeah.
But that figure's based on the total amount of cash we should have generated for the year. That's how much we've had come in.
It's pretty good effort, I think. I think
Yep.
the ratepayers need to be congratulated on
Yes.
that effort, yeah. Any other question of Helen?
No, it's good.
If not, I'd ask for a mover of the recommendation, please. Somebody,
I'll move that.
Councillor Dixon and Councillor Smith. I'll put that motion, all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, no, carried. Item 10, Gomeroi Native
I've
Total
got
Claim.
some stuff to hand out.
Okay, right. Max, while you're handing it out, do you know if the showgrounds are in danger?
Well, I'm going to talk about that.
Okay.
Okay.
You don't have to be scared by this.
Well, this, I've already got it, have I?
I'd be alert, perhaps.
Is it blowing cold air or is it?
It's pretty cold here over here, isn't it?
It is cold
Just,
coming
just so
out.
you can follow what I'm talking about.
Do they know how to work?
I don't know. She's an accountant, not a bloody. You got that thing humming, Helen? Jeez, I better turn this off.
Feels like I've got it the other way, right?
There's your one.
Yeah, I saw it.
Got the right symbol up?
Thank you, Max.
35. Is that one working?
Yeah, it was cold.
Thank you, Max.
Freezing. My feet are frozen.
Yeah, my feet are frozen.
I'm pleased it's not just
Usually we're
us.
dying
It's not just women complaining today.
You got. You notice I've turned your microphone off. I didn't think that needed to be broadcast. Right to go again?
Yes. When Councillor Smith read the report, he asked if I could give a brief rundown on what it means for us, because it is quite complicated.
I didn't do that next to I couldn't understand it.
Yeah.
I wasn't really sure.
Yeah, no, that's fine. It is sometimes when you work with things a lot, you just assume other people can understand it, but it is difficult. What I think Councillor Smith was particularly wanting to know, how does it affect the Warrialda bypass? The Warrialda bypass, the process we're following, is actually, in its own way, what we have to do with every bit of Crown land that we manage in the Shire. The same process has to be followed. but we're advancing the process of the Indigenous Land Use Agreement for the Warrialla Bypass. But we have to go through the same sort of process for all the other land. You might remember some time ago, I had a report that went to the council in December 2019, which I've given you another copy of. And attached to that report was the example of the Bingara caravan park and the effort that was involved in establishing if native title had been extinguished or not extinguished. And the process, that process that's outlined in that report has to be undertaken for every piece of land which is on this report that you have before you. Now, if we don't show that native title has been extinguished prior to 1996 on the land that we manage, that's a Crown Reserve, or we're the reserve trustee, or whatever reason we have control of that land. If we don't show that native title has been extinguished prior to 1996, anything that's happened after that date could be subject to compensation to the native title claimants.
What's involved in extinguishing the title?
Well, that's why I gave you this report. That's what's involved in extinguishing the title. You've got to go through and look at every thing that's happened that you can prove has happened on a particular parcel of land, and eventually you reach a point where so much has happened that the tipping point that extinguishes native title on that parcel of land.
So, I'll go back to the showgrounds. Would they be...
Well, in the showground, we have to prove, like we do at Bingara Showground, you guys will have to do your own showground, but you have to be able to prove exactly when the buildings were authorised, when they were built, who built them, when, what the floor area of the buildings are. You have to be able to do that to extinguish native title, and you have to prove that it all happened prior to 1996. The new stables you're about to build, for example, technically, you should be notifying the claimants and getting their approval for the work that you're prepared to undertake.
It's replacing stables.
Yeah, well, you're still supposed to do it.
Well, it must be in the courts again right now. I mean, it's been in the court all the time, but we've just got notification from our, I was on the ASC in a past life, and it's kicked in again. The solicitor that was representing that organisation has made contact to say it's on again.
It is.
Yeah.
Now, this form, what we've done at the staff level, we've established all the land that we believe is very important to us. That for our continuing operations, we have to go to the trouble of trying to eliminate native title on all the land that is sort of like shaded in blue. The ones that are in yellow, we're undecided whether we can just let them go through to the keeper, but we still need to do more review on it. At the same time, the second document you've got here is all the quarries that we rely on, that we're now trying to fix up for the same process. Now, out of this, at the end of the day, what we want to do is when we finally get to court over this land claim, we want to be in a position to submit to the court a document which clearly outlines the land that we believe native title has been extinguished on, and what the basis of our argument is, and the proof that we believe supports our argument, so that when the native title is extinguished by the court, we end up with an IULA, the Indigenous Land Use Agreement, that satisfies all the requirements in our shire.
This is a massive job. This is every piece of Crown land in New South Wales.
Yep, every council, well, no, only the Gomeroi, we're only involved with the Gomeroi one, but it covers all our shire, and it covers, Moree, Inverell, Uralla, Armidale,
Is it going on with all the other areas there?
We're only worried about ours.
I know. Yeah. I was just thinking of the...
But everybody, all councils will have to be similar, won't
Yeah, they will. What I find to be really concerning is in the new Crown Lands Management Act 2016, they passed the responsibility for compensation onto local government. So if we can't prove that native title has been extinguished on a particular parcel of land prior to 1996, anything that we do on that land after that date, we could be subject to compensation. If I take, for example, Guida Oval, we're building a new amenities building. If we had built exactly on the footprint of the old one, would have been okay. But we haven't. We've expanded it because you couldn't see all the field from the grandstand, so we moved it back a little bit. So we've moved off that footprint. You know, I don't know what the consequences of that could be, or, you know, into the future, but we'll find out, no doubt, over time. But I just want to let you know, there's a lot of work in this.
It is.
And we use Craig Barnes, the same guy that's been working with us on the Warrialda bypass, to handle a lot of the more difficult issues that we've come across. And Vanessa Field, who is our solicitor who acts for us in the native title claim at the federal court, will be going down and meeting with them, trying to establish a template for how we move forward on all these parcels of land. With regard to the Warrialda bypass, I've also given you a copy of a letter which I sent to Adam Marshall seeking a meeting, because it's just reached, in my opinion, the ridiculous stage where, because of COVID-19, all the Gomeroi people can't actually meet in one group to sign off on our negotiated IULA and get it to the court so that it can be advertised for 12 weeks, so that it can be signed off. And there must be surely some way that this whole process can just, the logic is that no one will miss out. If they allow us just to build that road, no one misses out. We've agreed to the compensation to both parties, to the Moree Lands Council and to the Gomeroi claimants. So there's no detrimental impact on anybody if they let us build the road. So I personally can't understand why it can't happen. Alex and I had a teleconference with the Crown Lands Commissioner. It's a wonderful name, Commissioner Bush, about these issues. I mean, he agrees. He sees the stupidity of the process, but I don't know whether he can help us. But I've got no doubt he'll sincerely try.
Is it within the minister's realm to allow us to?
Well, Craig Barnes doesn't believe that there's, the way the legislation has been enacted, that there is any discretion by either minister at the federal level or the state level. And I mean, I just find that to be extraordinary. Surely they can realise the stupidity of it and fix it up. Someone should have the ability, when there's absolutely no detriment to anybody, to approve something like we want to do.
Right, and there's been no indication from Adam yet, is there, about a meeting?
No, I followed up with him yesterday because I said, surely someone might ask you about that letter today at the meeting. And he said he's referred it on to the Commonwealth. Well, it wasn't the Commonwealth. I wanted someone in the state government to show a bit of balls and to sign off and let us build the road.
Well, it's because of because we live in New South Wales that this has happened. There's two authorities.
Yeah.
And it's the New South Wales authority you want to speak to.
Yes. And
You got the council's investigation showed that there was strong evidence that the past lease hadn't extinguished native title.
That's right.
Obviously, they don't believe it.
now what happened was when you might remember, I think the land titles has been privatised. So it's not a government thing anymore, it's someone else. But when they issued the Moree Lands Council put in a claim for lot 317, people looked at it and said, oh yeah, it's a nothing, give it to them, which they did. But when they issued the title, they issued it as if it had native title was able to be claimed on it. Whereas we believe, Craig Barnes does, and I think Craig's a bit of an expert on this, he believes that the previous past release would have extinguished native title on that parcel of land. But we got tied up because it appeared on the title given to the Moree Lands Council. And because that was on the title, that meant that they aren't allowed to do any dealings, which includes giving us a licence to build a road.
When did that occur, mate?
The transfer?
Yeah.
I don't know the date, but it was well before we got involved.
Oh, yes, I know, but the reason I asked was I'm pretty sure Cliff Lucas leased that land
Yeah, yeah, well, he was probably
at
the
one stage.
So,
It's on that national land.
You just turn your microphone on, Jeff, please.
There's no chance of coming in. I went up there and had a look there a few weeks ago and drove around a lot of that area. And no chance of coming inside the Warrior side of that, up behind, and coming back through Mick Davis's block there. Something.
The easy option, if we were to avoid lot 317, is to go to the west of it. This is a parcel of land that flanks both the western and the northern sides of 317. That land is also subject to a native title claim. It doesn't have the complication that lot 317 has of successful Aboriginal land claim and native title. It would still be required to be addressed.
we may be able to get a licence to build the road on that land, yeah. Yeah.
Probably a bit close. The what I was looking at, it's certainly going to be closer to town, which might be a problem anyway. But the other way of going right around it, you've got a pretty sharp bend at the.
Yeah, we have looked at it, and it's not too sharp a bend for the intended use, and it's something that could be explored. There would be probably another, off the top of my head, $300,000 to $400,000 of construction in doing so. And we're as far down the path of the 317 acquisition that I guess we're in for a penny, in for a pound to use the term. So look, the investigation's been done. Certainly a diversion is possible, but there's extra costs associated with it.
There's no guarantee to be all that quick either with the native title claim.
No.
Yeah, well,
That's the trouble.
Has the Aboriginal lands and that increased their compensation? They haven't increased their compensation, what they wanted originally?
No,
That was agreed upon.
it's been agreed, and they actually asked for another independent valuation which confirmed the valuation, so there's no problem with the valuation.
Only paid on valuation, actually.
No, we negotiated with the Moree Lands Council, I think it was $85,000.
Yeah.
They were happy to do that. And the independent claimants get a percentage of that.
Yeah, 80%.
And they were the ones that wanted the reevaluation.
Yeah. That's all sorted.
Yeah.
Although it's in their interest to get the money as quickly as possible. That's another thing I just don't understand, why they aren't facilitating it as quickly as possible, because, you know.
Well, the independence, it goes in their pocket.
Yeah.
And they may be able to arrange another 3 or 4 meetings before it's finished, and that's all in their pockets. Sorry.
No,
We put a cap on that. Yeah, we put a cap of $20,000 on that. Yeah.
What amazes me about this whole thing, John, is that they can't have a meeting, but yet they can. The state government can overlook a hell of a big gathering in Sydney.
Yeah, exactly.
They can't have a meeting of 200 people. I mean, to me, it's double dealing with the government. I mean, if they're going to let them have a meeting for what they did have one, there was nothing to do with this country.
They're a vulnerable group too.
I think this has been going on, at least 3 years, and every step of the way, there's been a most ridiculous bridge to cross, all the way, and that's just another one.
I looked up something the other day on the bypass, and it was 2015.
Yeah, right, 5 years.
It was when the Oh, I can't remember what it was. I was looking up something, right?
Yeah. I can't remember when we started negotiating with the Moray Lands Council, but it was a long time ago.
The thing that worries me, as this Black Lives Matter business, is it just going to get harder and harder? If there's some blow up in everything, which there could be, are they going to just, I don't know.
I know, it's a concern.
And we're waiting for those signatures for that 3 months.
That's the last thing we need, is just
Yes.
them to vote to send it off to the court for advertising. That's all we need. That's all we need from them. Is anyone else, are you concerned about this compensation issue?
Of course.
That's good, because at the, when I went to the course that they were telling us about all this, I suddenly realised, I think the majority, the silent majority at the moment, they're sitting back and, the native title's a bit of a pain in the neck, but it doesn't mean anything. If local government has to start paying compensation every time you want to build something on Crown, and most of the land we build on is Crown land, I think that there's going to be an enormous backlash from the community.
Probably something that should be, should be on bloody 60 Minutes or something, really. People don't, you talk to people in the street, no one knows about it, even with the bypass.
No.
And, this legislation is from a Conservative government, not from the Labor government.
Doesn't matter what,
Max, I understand now, looking at this map, that all those blocks of land that we've had running around for a long, long time are now,
Subject to.
No,
they're not.
they're okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank goodness. Woohoo!
No, in fact, we purchased those outright, the native title's been extinguished, there's no problem there.
One little block, wasn't there, that we didn't do?
One little block?
Somewhere up there. The house blocks are here, and isn't there a block there that?
The land between basically, I think it probably is Martin Street and the, towards the cemetery, that land there. I think they're likely to give that to the Moray Lands Council.
Councillor Young, if you're going to speak, can you put your mic on?
Sorry, Max, the land between Martin
Well,
Street,
you know the land,
depot.
like where the cemetery is, you've got
Yeah.
John Gill's land, and then you've got a big vacant bit of land that runs from the road all the way through to the living classroom.
Okay.
That land there is likely to be given to the Aboriginal Lands Council at Moray. Like, we've been fighting it for quite a long time, but I think that's going to be the outcome of that decision.
All
It
right.
wasn't the land we had marked for our industrial area, but it would have been good land.
It was
for that.
land that we sort of had earmarked for a mobile home park, similar to what
That's
you
right.
see, but we never progressed it or never put anything in writing to the Lands Department about it. So the minister never knew that that's what we were thinking, apparently, and the courts have ruled that if the minister didn't know, then he can't now use that as a reason to knock back the claim.
Okay, well, you realise at 10:30 we have to break and meet with Adam Marshall at the Sporting Club, and it's now 10:20. Have you had enough, any other questions on the native title claims? If there's not, I'd ask for a mover of the recommendation.
Yes, the
Going to cost council a fair bit, isn't it, to do all this work? It's
Yes,
just
it
goes
is.
on and on.
We've been given $70,000, I think it is, from the government to do the plans of management under the Crown Lands Management Act, but that also is part of the process of getting, establishing whether native title has been extinguished. But yeah, it's going to be expensive.
Max, aside from the COVID hold-up, our understanding initially was August 2020 we would resolve 317.
No, we're
Has
that was-
now I understand it moved on to August 21?
well, could even be later.
And that was always with, who knows, we didn't have any idea when this was going to be resolved. I honestly thought it would have been, the road would have been in action now.
No, I always understood when Richard was giving us reports that it would be August 2020.
I thought there was something a little bit.
No, they were unqualified comments, he didn't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That fair enough, Alex?
Yeah, it is. The whole way, all we've had are estimates. There's been nothing concrete at any point. The projected date now is December 21 for completion.
December.
But still,
Is-
that's still unqualified, isn't it?
Most certainly.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if we get a reply as per this letter here, they've signed off and agreed to agreed to all the compensations and stuff, what's the problem with starting on it?
No.
Yeah, that's exactly, I'm with you. I don't understand what the problem is.
Yeah.
I don't understand why the Premier of New South Wales is the acting Minister for Aboriginal Affairs. Why she can't just write me a letter and say, build your road.
Yeah,
That's
Son.
right.
Have we been to the Premier?
Well, we've,
Maybe it's time we sat in her office.
See that letter there?
we've asked him to organise a meeting and now he tells me he's just palmed it off onto the federal government.
Well, then we go back to Adam and we say that
Well,
wasn't what we requested.
well,
and we've got him here today.
10 minutes will be
He's
done.
the
Yeah, we'll be
federal
doing
guy,
that.
yeah. And I sent this letter on to Mark as well, Mark Colton. And,
And my understanding is that we borrowed $2 million against this project because we couldn't make the payments because we haven't signed off on it. I think the government's got to take a hand in it somewhere. Because we have got that money outstanding and we are borrowing money and paying interest on something that we don't have.
and,
Out of our control, isn't it?
and
It is
people-
out of our control.
We aren't the only sort of project that's held up, but there are some interest, like we're a case study now to people that are talking about native title of what can go wrong.
I'd rather not.
No, I'd rather not.
I was just about to say, it doesn't make me feel any better.
All right, we've got a recommendation. Can I have one?
Sorry.
Yeah, you can ask a question.
Is this still within our budget to complete this?
Well, it's like Max said, we've got a $70,000 grant to help, but it'll go over that budget.
Oh, are you talking about the bypass?
The bypass?
Oh, the bypass, sorry.
No, the bypass,
No, it's way
we-
over.
we-
It was 1.5 some months ago.
yeah.
It's well over.
There's other things too, isn't there? Like a culvert's got to go in there. Have you? Can you put your microphone on and tell me that? All right.
Yeah.
But you're hopeful that that might have to be built.
Not immediately, yes.
Good.
just before we close off on that, Max, the $70,000, that couldn't possibly cover all
No,
of it.
no,
All
it
of the backgrounding that we've got to
It
do.
won't.
So we'll be, and
Like-
did we build to our budget any sort of sum for
It's
contingency?
mostly, yes, we've got money in there, and it's mostly, like, we've got a long time to do it because nothing moves quickly in this world.
Oh,
But just to establish this list has been quite an
Enormous.
effort by the staff, yeah.
Well,
And
Max, it had
we've
moved.
found land that we didn't know existed, but we now know, we're now sure that we have every parcel of land here
oh, good.
that we're responsible for.
A lot of work.
If we move our end quicker and became a
Yeah.
promotional thing for moving quick in council,
We'd be paying our compensation earlier.
yeah, absolutely, we'd get, well, no, hopefully the whole thing would be wound up earlier.
You know,
just
covers the
seems-
golf course, covers the tennis courts, it covers the bowl, green.
It's good reading.
I had a look.
It's interesting reading.
It is scary.
The thing that's really frustrating about it is the road is for community benefit. It's not taking away from anybody's use. It's not
Yeah.
taking anything from anybody. It's increasing the amenity of the area. And it just can't get through.
No. It's very frustrating. Anyway, I need a mover of the recommendation.
I'll move the
Councillor
recommendation.
Galton, seconded Councillor Smith. Is there any other questions? Not, I'll put the motion. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
It's carried.
10:22.
It's, we've nearly got a break, I think.
Well, 10:22, you've got to be over it there at
Yeah,
10:30.
yeah.
Don't worry, Bill.
So we have to take a break. I think that everybody's welcome to come over to the sporting club, or if you would rather eat lamingtons here, you can do that. So I've asked people to turn their mics on if they're going to speak. We're on to item 11. Having had a break and had a few photos with Adam Marshall, we're back. And item 11 is in front of you there about the MOI with Providence Investment Management Private Limited. The Nick Taban would like Max and I to meet with them in Sydney, but we just haven't been anywhere. You can't seem to travel much. It's all pretty straightforward. Somebody like to, I'll take discussion. I prefer if somebody move the recommendation
I'll move
first.
the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor
I'll
Young.
second that.
Seconded, Councillor Dixon. Is there any discussion on this? Yes, Councillor.
I just wanted to ask about the hydrogen. When Nick spoke to us, it was about solar farm, and then it says here, you know, point EE, deployment of hydrogen opportunities within the Gwydir Shire.
You sent me a link about that only yesterday, I think. Did you? Did you? I haven't looked at it, did you?
No, I haven't.
No.
So we don't, yeah.
I can send you the link if you like.
Well, I did type in to see if it was the same hydrogen that makes hydrogen bombs. I didn't get a long way into it.
No.
No, they'd only talked about cars and
Yeah.
energy, but
Yeah.
Well, it's a non-binding MOU, that's what it says.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
so it's all, you know, but I was
We asked-
curious that they put the hydrogen thing in there.
could I ask whose backing it is? Whose funds?
Well, they're doing it, not us.
Yeah, it's,
I know they're doing it, but who owns
Providence.
the funding that backs Providence?
I don't know anything about them.
Might be Malcolm Turnbull.
I don't think it's that close to home.
Well, I don't know, Catherine. It could, yeah, maybe it is. I don't know.
I think.
They dropped they put a business card under my front door, and that's where all this started. I sent it off to Nick. Okay, so I've got a mover and a seconder. Is there any other discussion? We signed the MOU. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Yes, no, carried.
now we're here.
Now the late items.
Integrated planning.
Where is it?
Basically,
Here, I've got it.
it's the late item plus the memo which I put on in front of each council, which has got the budget line items in it. This document is for exhibition. You can make any changes you want when it comes back, or while it's on exhibition, you can put forward questions or send emails into the staff. We'll try to answer all the questions. And you're not bound by the document that's in front of you, because you can make changes in July when it's finally adopted.
I think that's the way we're going to have to go. There's a fair bit there in front of you.
But it will have to be adopted in July because we've made a booking, and in fact we've moved the council meeting to the 23rd. Now, we had to move it to the 23rd because our schedule with the company that does the rate notices was the 24th.
That's what it was booked in for, and
Yeah.
if you wait until it's 5 weeks on display,
Yeah.
the rates will get delayed another month.
Yeah.
So,
So if we can get the meeting done on the 23rd and get it all adopted, then we can issue the rates on the 24th, and everything will proceed as normal.
Well, we can discuss it at the committee meeting.
yes, you can.
I think it'd be better if we went back and read it and then come back to the committee.
Yep.
So that all we're asking today is to be placed on exhibition.
That's right.
So could I have
So
a
moved,
mover?
Mr Mayor.
No.
Second.
Councillor Carlton, seconded Councillor Egan. I'll take it you're happy to vote on that. I'll put the motion. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
That's no, carried.
So, resolution, resolution is to go in the confidential seat.
Okay, so now
Or
we
unless you want to do.
Oh yeah, we can do council reports first, I guess, before we go into confidential session. So I'll start on my left. Councillor Dixon, do you have anything you wish to?
Yes, I've had a complaint about the corner of Cunningham Street
and Bombelli Street. It is pretty rough down there too. Bombelli, yeah.
It's where that big dip is.
Yes, and it's all breaking away badly down there.
We do have a big allocation We do have a big allocation in next year's budget proposed for urban street maintenance, so we can add that one to the list.
Okay. Other than that, yeah, I've got nothing.
Okay, Jeff,
No,
right. Kelly?
John, the historical meeting the other night, there's some talk about whether the Kelly's Gully Bridge can be renamed to Sister Elizabeth Kenny Bridge. But I haven't got an official letter to say that, so that was one thing. And the other one was, are we going to put the wording back on the swimming pool? War Memorial Pool, yeah.
Right.
There's an honour roll inside that all the donations who donated money to it.
Yeah.
But there's nothing at the front to say
Okay.
that it was.
Oh, well, I'll take it on notice, I guess, the question.
Yeah. Other than that, no, just attending the general meetings and stuff like that, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Dick?
Nothing for me, Mr.
Nothing?
Mayor.
Okay, round to Councillor Galvin.
Just a couple of things. We had a business meeting yesterday morning.
Right, put your mic on there.
We had a Bingra business meeting yesterday morning, which we started at the beginning of the year and then was put on hold due to COVID. We had it at the Imperial yesterday morning breakfast meeting. It was really well attended. There was every business there was only a couple of businesses that couldn't make it. Everybody was invited. We had Bill Collis, who's the Rural Financial Counsellor for Small Business. He came and addressed and did a PowerPoint presentation and spoke to a lot afterwards. And then we had Georgia present about the things that are coming up within Guida Shire for small businesses, about Justin Herald coming and the grants that are out there. It was really, really well attended and everyone was really positive. So it's good to get that up and running again and everyone seems keen. So we're just doing them monthly and we'll go turnabout. The next one will be at the Sporting Club at the end of July, so for a dinner. Christmas in July dinner. So yeah, so that was pleasing that everyone's back on board and seeing, and our aim is to keep people shopping locally because they have been, and to put on promotions. We're aiming at Christmas because we figure, well, that'll be the next big thing that we'll be allowed to have. So we're just going to all get together and promote our businesses, and Georgia or whoever will be doing her position will do a flyer for us all to promote what's going on in town over Christmas.
I think that's very good, Councillor Galvin. It's good that the business is taking over their control of what they should be doing. I mean, I'd like to see that happen throughout the Shire.
Yeah, no, it was really good. So one thing that was brought up, which I don't know what we can do, is people wanting to know or one person in particular, what they can do about dogs doing their business on the streets and people treading in it and then walking it in the shops.
Yeah.
I don't know what we can do, but I said I'd bring it up.
Just to be some stuff you could spray on the outside of the shops and things. I don't know whether it worked. I know we tried it in McGregor's years ago.
Citronella.
I can't remember whether it worked or not.
Perhaps we need to remind people to carry their
Doggy bags.
things, scoopers.
Oh, that'll watch your step.
And Max, I was talking to Max after, and he said the steam cleaner's just about ready, so we'll be able to have another spruce up our businesses for spring and make everything look good. Pardon?
Their pot plants and all look really.
They do, don't they? We did a street walk the other day for the disability, and One of the ladies actually reckoned the pot plants should go, but it's a bit of a hard situation because everyone's trying to beautify their shops and make the street look presentable. And
In the road,
no, well,
see that.
Yeah.
What was spoken about was to put all the obstacles in the one spot. So instead of having pot plants there and a bin here, have all them there. And then if you've got them at the next shop on the other side, have them all there rather than having them all over the place, so that there's a clear line in the middle. That was all. But it is a difficult one, isn't it?
it is a
Because
very
we all-
difficult one because everyone's just now taking pride in their businesses and starting to do this. And, yeah.
For instance, one at the butcher shop, they wouldn't,
No, because ours is in the door, like out of the road.
most of them are back that way.
Yeah, but ours, she didn't like our, and I can see her point, the signs we put our signs out the front of the butcher shop, which most businesses do, but that brings people in because they see, oh, this is on special today, whether it be the butcher shop, the chemist, the hairdressers, wherever. I think everybody's got them. And, yeah, so it's sort of a difficult situation.
Well, maybe your group could make a recommendation if there's a problem.
Well, we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that you-
That was a different group. That was the,
No, I meant your group, though,
Oh,
the
the-
business houses I'm talking
oh,
about.
radio, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that you done,
Yeah.
Councillor Gilman? Okay.
Yeah,
Councillor
I
Young.
participated in that walk too, and I thought it was very well attended, and there was a lot of good input from community members, and I think that's important because it's not out for us to make the decisions on those things.
No.
There is a code that obviously we should run by, but I don't know how you retrofit a town for disabled. I think we do the best we can, and if our signage is good. One of the really big things was the tape on steps. That is easily done, that bright yellow tape on steps that would, be an easy fix and make it much more visible for people. But other than that, I don't have any councillor
Righto,
reports.
thank you.
Just to say that's good.
Yeah, Councillor Colton.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. The only thing I had was about the disability access, but I think you had that walk around in Warrialda and the girl of Charlotte
Hickman.
Lockyer was with you, and I think she, from what I heard, she told you all about what it was anyway, so.
Yeah, I didn't attend, but feedback from the members of the group that did was overwhelmingly positive regarding having somebody in a wheelchair when doing that walk around. It's highlighted a whole bunch of things that able-bodied people would never have noticed.
I was talking to her mother after it. She said she was very proud of it because she was as nervous as 6 cats, but which is good. I also noticed on the back of this newspaper, Quite a Shy Council,
Yeah,
all that page.
They're very good
That's
places
it.
to read.
you probably would have preferred Satterfield, right?
Pardon?
Second time.
Councillor Egan.
Only further to the disabilities walk around, we had the meeting then with Alex and the staff, and we've set in concrete where the projects start and finish, so that's happened. Further to Tiffany's steamer cleaner, the Roxy's really in need of a facelift out the front there. It's really dirty, so I had that online. A meeting with 2020, they've been having fortnightly meetings, we've stopped now, and they were in favour of supporting the senior staff and executive and councillors with their move to the Roxy. And I had a letter there today from a girl who is part of the 2020 who, Max, she's sort of put it out there that she would take on that short course cafe if the needs be, but we've got someone else looking at it, so let's follow that up. But if the needs be, we have someone else to fill that other position. And I don't think, even though Lenore gave us a very good presentation this morning, I think there's just as many have the feeling that the doors need to be open at all times. So I think that it hasn't been quite presented in the right light. But anyway, that's just my feelings. That's all, thank you.
Thank you. Right.
Excuse me, Councillor Egan, did the person that wanted to run the cafe wanted to be an employee? Would they do it themselves?
If it's a person we
We
were
have to
thinking
talk.
about the other day, I think we better talk.
Okay.
I've just got a bit excited.
There's no signature on the letter, I didn't know.
Sarah, the name's on it.
Is it? Oh, I didn't see her name.
It's
Okay.
in a different colour, you probably.
Oh, must have missed it.
It sort of disappears into.
Anyway, okay, you've done.
I'm finished, thank you.
Right, well, I think my comments are going to be fairly broad, but I've just had a bit of a trip around a few country towns, and it's really depressing to see doors closed. I was in Nyngan, and there's 5 hotels, only one operating, and they seem to think there's probably only one of the 4 that are closed will reopen. We've seen it here, we've got it in Warrialda. I'm not sure what's happening in Bingara. Is the hotel open or closed?
It's open at present.
One is.
No, they're
No,
both
they're
open.
both
The other
open.
one is too.
Yeah,
you're
they're
right.
both open. The restaurant isn't opened in the second one
No,
at
no.
There it
this
is.
stage. Oh, is it?
Well, they had the signs out the last few days on the footpath, come into the Whip Inn.
Oh,
Okay. Well, anyway, the point is that we have to be and we are doing our very best to keep the towns alive. I really think it's important to get some sort of industry here if we can. I think that this proposal for a couple of solar farms is exciting. We can get that at no cost to ourselves. Whatever else happens to come along, I mean, we've got to look at the annexure to the report that we received at the committee meeting with Ionis. But he's answered our questions, I guess. We've still got to really decide what we want to do there. I don't really have any local problems, I don't think, to mention.
Can I?
Yeah.
Just while we're still in the open council meeting, we received for the Cranky Rock work 3 responses to our request for quotations. One was from Central Industries Proprietary Limited of Marangaroo. The next one was Ken Pass Proprietary Limited of Saddleback Mountain. And the last one was Meter Constructions from Warrialda.
Yeah, right.
When we didn't receive a response from Lachlan Hall, who had been out there previously and had a look at it, we contacted him and checked just to make sure that we hadn't missed his response, but he didn't put in a quotation. So, and the business was given to Meter Constructions based on the lowest price, plus also being the only local contractor who put in a quotation.
That's very good, and
Thank you.
I think that local contractor
That's
needs to be
important.
considered every time. Anyway, that's good, Max, and it would have been probably perfect to put it in the news.
Put in there, I'll make sure they do that in
Yeah.
future.
Councillor?
Just while we're on back to the Roxy, I was speaking to Chris Turner, who has recently moved here, you know, the man, and he actually had a very good suggestion if this one we've got at the moment doesn't take off, and it was you get funding for kids to do it, and it's all funded, so you're not actually paying. It's all, and apparently there is grants out there for them to do it, and it's a bit like the one that Graham Keating runs over in Port Macquarie, but only his is all run by people with disabilities, and apparently it does work very well. So that's another thing that is out there. And Chris Turner, who has recently moved to Bingara, he's got some pretty good ideas on that.
And his involvement was with children. I think it used to be called Sunny Kids or something like
Yeah,
that.
and
He was
he's,
very
I think he's a counsellor and all that sort of thing, big background, and but he has some really good ideas.
Well, I think the advice that we were given is starting to prove to be true. Like Councillor Dick was the one that mentioned don't give up, because with COVID there's people looking to get out.
Yeah.
And then we had Nick Tobin and his mate here at the same time, and they said don't give up on it, we think we can find someone. And
Yeah, I
someone's
think
come along.
I do think someone will come
Yeah,
along. I mean,
And,
long stay.
well, that's the difficult part, isn't it? Yeah.
And as long as it doesn't take another 6 months to get them here.
That's right.
You know, because,
People are looking in there all the time.
and there's so
Yeah.
many visitors, John.
Yeah, look, I'm happy to go with the suggestion from the locals on this, I really am. But the ideal thing would be to have a caterer in there, wouldn't it? That'd be the ideal thing. To get somebody that could stick it out and work. Okay, well, it's come to the point of the meeting where we need to go into confidential session. So I would ask for a motion to that effect, please. Councillor Moore, Councillor Smith. Put the motion, those in favour say aye. It's no carried. Okay, we're doing as a formality for the recording.
Well, you need a resolution to go out.
I've got that resolution
Oh,
from
who
Councillor
was?
Colton, and I
And
need
I
a
seconded it.
seconded Councillor Egan. I'll put that motion, those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Yes, okay, and then the other resolution.
Okay, out of the Committee of the Whole meeting, we have the following recommendations to Council on the Confidential Organisation and Community Development Report for May 2020. The committee recommends that the monthly Confidential Organisation and Community Development Report for May 2020 be received, noting that Mrs. Daly gave more detailed information regarding the statistics in the open report. On the property purchase, it was agreed to make a counter offer of $90,000 and allowing the owner to keep the licence, and Councillor Moore voted against that motion. On the Bingara sale yards, it was agreed that the applicant be advised that the property is earmarked for other proposals. And on the Ionius report, it is recommended to Council that the staff undertake further evaluation of the latest report and provide a further report to the Council. There was also a discussion to note that the Council has discussed the future of the Roxy Cafe.
Okay, thank you, Max. Never sure which one. We don't do any of those.
So you just recommendations.
So moved.
Councillor Young, moved, seconded. Councillor Smith, any questions? Put the motion, those in favour say aye.
Aye.
It's no carried. Thank you very much. I declare the meeting closed. Thank you for your attendance.